Right, we're recording. So, hi everybody, welcome to the Two Peas in a Peggy podcast. I'm here today with a friend of mine who is a fellow creative artist, and we're going to be discussing the season finale of The Walking Dead. So, the most recent episode that's been shown, which is season 10, episode 16. We're going to get together and just have a bit of a discussion about that. So, I'd like to introduce Reina, if you want to introduce yourself, Reina, where you're from. And,
I'm from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Hey everybody. I'm an artist, like Peggy said, upcoming actress, and just recently started my model career as well. A huge Walking Dead fan, and met Peggy a couple of years ago, and I'm here today to assist her in this discussion.
Lovely. And it's great to have you here because we do share that common interest of The Walking Dead. And I will explain to everybody, Peggy does come from The Walking Dead, actually, because that was a nickname that came from the manager who worked in a team that I was crewing for back in 2017. When I met Reina, it was 2018. And I was working with the lovely Stephen Ogg, who played Simon in The Walking Dead. And that's where I met you, didn't I?
Yes, you did. That was a very interesting moment of my life, meeting my hero for the first time in the flesh after so many years.
Yes, and I think you should show your top, actually, because I'm just amazed at that.
Yeah, it's a hoodie I actually designed myself. And of course, it's my favorite, Stephen Ogg as Simon. And yeah, I was like dressing up in style for tonight.
Lovely. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think also because you designed it, because you are an artist,
Yes.
And it shows your creativity. And that's something that I think, you know, we can both bring to this because we both have that love of creative expression, if you like. I come from a sort of writing and screenwriting point of view, and also production. I like to look at how things are made and brought to life on the screen. You've got the artist in you. You've got the model in you, so it's you know how to be in front of a camera and all of that creative expression. So, and also we love The Walking Dead. We like to watch The Walking Dead and we like to follow the characters. So I think it's going to be really good to delve in. So this final episode, we did have to wait a while for it, didn't we? Because of the effects of COVID on post-production, we were left with episode 15. I'd even forgotten, actually, that we were in the middle of a Whisperers war until this episode came back. I don't know what you found when you sort of watched it, because for me, I was like, oh yeah, there's all Whisperers, they're surrounding them. And I was like, I'd kind of forgotten that was going on.
I kind of rewatched the episode before I started with the final, so I knew where we're at, but I was only left like when the break in between came. I was like, you can't leave us like this, not in all this, don't leave us, like, no, you can't do this to us. So I was really excited for the final to came back. And then when the date actually got announced, like, hey, then we're coming back, I counted the days.
Lovely. And as we were just talking, actually, before we started the podcast, there are going to be some additional episodes. So although this was the season finale, they are going to bring out some other episodes, aren't they?
Yes.
Tell me about that. So that will be interesting, as you've said before, how they're going to do that. Yes. I did even think episode 15 could have actually been a finale, couldn't it? Because of how it ended.
Yes, it could have been. And I think it would have been a better ending than we actually had.
Which obviously we'll come on to. So I'm sure
yes.
we've got to say, haven't we? But before we do go into that, I did forget in the introduction to show my one and only Funko Pop, because we're obviously talking about The Walking Dead and I am a fan. Rick Grimes forever for me, but I've got one Funko Pop here, which is Prison Rick, which is probably my favorite season of Rick. Now, would you like to show how many Funko Pops you've got?
Of course. I have quite a lot. I only miss 5 of them to complete my collection, but unfortunately they gone up in value so much that it's really, really hard to get on. So hopefully one day I'll get my hands on it.
Lovely. Well, I think it's a fabulous collection you've got. It just shows dedication, in my opinion. I feel my little Rick one solo Funko Pop is a bit.
My first one was Gabriel. And and I said to my husband, and my husband said, we're not gonna collect them all because my husband thinks they look stupid. They look all the same. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna save them all. And then my birthday came and all my friends came over and I got Funko and Funko and a Funko, and I'm like, well, I guess I have no choice to just collect them all. So then it went all crazy and here I am.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, for when I was crewing at the conventions and the amount of people that were coming to see the guests, the actors, and most of them would have these Funko Pops, you know, for signing. So, I mean, I just love them. I think they're great. But yeah, so my little Rick, I love my little Rick, even though it's just the one. But, you know,
it always starts with one.
That's right. Absolutely. So, yeah, so we opened this episode back in the Whisperer War. We've got Beta, who is the new sort of leader because Alpha, you know, saw her end, didn't she? So Beta is now promoted from number 2 to number 1. And he's actually got part of Alpha with him because part of her face is actually on his mask, isn't she?
Yeah, kind of creepy.
It is creepy, but I find the Whisperers creepy anyway. I actually find them creepier than the Walkers because we know they're people, but they've got the skin of the dead on them. For me, that's more creepy.
Yeah, you must be really crazy to do something like that. And then as soon as they start talking, you're just like, oh no. No. But I have that with Alpha too. Like when she said like, we are always watching, I was like, no, just don't stop it. That would freak me out every time.
Definitely, yeah, I know it really did. Yeah. So usually we do end with a cliffhanger for these finales. We kind of did have something to do with a cliff, which we'll get onto later. But the cliffhanger itself was a bit lackluster, wasn't it? In a way, I mean, we have got these unanswered questions, but it wasn't as kind of big as maybe we wanted it to, but we'll get on to that. So we know that some of our group, the survivors then, are in this building. Whisperers are surrounding them. And we've got Eugene, Ezekiel, and Yumiko, who are out on their little quest to find Stephanie, aren't they?
Yeah. With
Princess, who's the new character that's been introduced. What do you think about Princess?
I find her quite annoying, honestly. I don't know. She's to me, she came over like quite childish, and I don't know. I have to see more from her to actually develop an opinion about her. But what I've seen right now, I'm not really sure if we can trust her, honestly.
Yeah.
She's a bit too, like, she's already lied about the car, which turned out to be bikes. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? And then the whole minefield, the minefield, and I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, I suppose there's some hidden layers to her, aren't there, that we're yet to discover. I mean, when she kind of popped up and it was that vibrancy of pink, I was like, oh, that's fresh, because pink's my favorite color. And it's like, oh, you're quite exciting, you know, but then a bit crazy because she was just, you know, firing off the gun, and obviously the horses went. So it's kind of like, oh no, you've left them in the doo-doo, shall we say. But then, yes, with the bikes, I agree, because it's like, oh, I've got wheels. Well, yeah, she did have wheels, but not you kind of expressed. So they're on quest, and I feel for Eugene, because I almost think that bond that he was building with Stephanie, you kind of want them to meet, don't you? And it's like, are they going to meet up? What's she all about? Is she actually real? Because all we've heard is her voice on the radio. We don't know who she is, do we? And I will say this as well. I mean, I don't read the comics. So obviously, if there's anything in comics that kind of give away anything,
I don't know. I don't read them neither. Like, I know certain bits of it, but no, I don't know nothing about no Stephanie. And I kind of felt bad for Eugene too, because, well, you know, everybody hated him for quite a long time. And he's been doing so well the last couple of seasons. Like, he turned into a not so much of a scary cat than we met him in, and he deserves some happiness. I mean, he was already in love with Rosita. That clearly did not work out, and then all this, like, no, just give Eugene some slack.
Yeah, I agree with that, because he is lovely, isn't he? But what's that plot all about? I mean, I did think you can tell it's almost a clip-on, can't you? It's a bit.
Yeah.
doesn't really need it, but bless him, we love him all the same. Now, Gabriel, this is in the opening sort of sequences. He does this voiceover whilst we're seeing all these different people. And we've got Aaron and Alden, I think that's the other character, isn't it? They're sort of out, they're separated, Eugene, etc. And then we see somebody getting a letter from a box that's been hidden in the ground, and it's as Gabriel saying these words, and it's Maggie, who's obviously back. And it's like, oh, Maggie's back. We kind of knew she was coming back, but it's like, Maggie's back. And Gabriel's actually saying at that point as his voiceover, together we will fight, and that's how we will survive together. So it's okay, we see Maggie, so you think, oh yeah, Maggie's coming back to rejoin the group. They're going to be together. They've got to fight this Whisperer war together. But it did make me think back to Gabriel's introduction as well into the whole Walking Dead, because he was a bit cowardly, wasn't he? Because
he lied. He was untruthful in the beginning because everybody thought he was this coward. But yeah, when you get to learn that he actually closed all these people out of his church as he is a priest, you'll be like, okay, so that's how kind of person you are. Gabriel, yeah, that's a tough one for me because I never liked Gabriel, and I think he's Gabriel is getting a little bit head over heels. Like he gets too badass, like in a way that it doesn't really sell to me, because I liked him when he was like, a little bit more with the others, and I kind of feel like he's taken on the leader role, which I would have not wanted to see him in. Like there's a couple of other characters that I rather had seen getting more of a leader role than Gabriel did. But of course, I understand the choice after Michonne's departure, of course. But I don't know. Like to me, he's too much of a badass. Like it's
Yeah, I agree. And I think, when you said leader, because that is how he's kind of almost being depicted in this episode, because he's giving that briefing when everything's happening, and he's there going, right, we know what to do. We've got to do this. And he's the one, and it almost felt a bit weird to me watching that. And I was thinking, oh, okay. But then obviously when the Whisperers and the Walkers are trying to get into that building, and he's telling everybody to go, and he's almost willing to sacrifice himself. That was definitely a contrast to shutting those people out of his church, wasn't it? Yeah. So maybe the love of Rosita has changed him.
Or he's finding a way to search for redemption for himself.
Yeah, I think he was definitely feeling remorseful about that act, and certainly being a priest as well. So it shows how his character, I guess, has grown throughout. So we get this overriding sense of togetherness. There's still tensions within the group, though, aren't there? Because Carol is she's having a bit of a face-off with people, because they're not that, happy that she's kind of that. Lydia as well, and then there's that Lydia and Negan thing. There's the Daryl and Negan thing going on, and it's almost like, there's tension, but they know ultimately they've got to pull together because they've got no choice in that situation. Now this is when the Whisperers are kind of talking outside again in that creepy way. We are the end of the world. This is the end of the world. And then Beta is kind of getting them to begin, as he says. And then you get that overhead shot of the building before the titles roll in, and you can see they're all crowding round. So it's almost like, it's not unusual for us to see that, because we've seen that loads of times, haven't we, with walkers?
Yeah, there were many of them. I never expected to be that much.
Yeah, so I was interested to know if you thought at that point, and certainly because the episode's called A Certain Doom, whether you had the sense of, they're all kind of like, they are going to get in there. People are going to definitely die from our group. Be chaos. It kind of had that feeling, didn't it? And it was a nice setup in a way for that. But yeah,
the first thing I thought when I saw that was, there's no way they're coming out of that. There's no way that they get out of that unseen or untouched, or even like death. Like you said, expected a lot of people to die. I did. And Yeah, I just thought, like, when I saw it, I was like, this is it.
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
luck.
Yeah, good luck with it. Yeah. So we kind of then go back to Eugene and his group, and he's having these moments of doubt, isn't he? That, oh, he's never going to get there. So it's a bit, woe is me, poor Eugene. But then Ezekiel gives him that pep talk, you know.
Yeah, poor fella fell with his bike.
He did. I
He
know. And
did.
yeah. But you know, Yumiko actually came out with quite a good quote, which was, "Tomorrow's problems are for tomorrow," and it gives that sense of what's been happening to them from the beginning, really, of the apocalypse. That they've
Yes.
had to live for today in a way, haven't they?
Yeah. It's nice to see Yumiko in a way of that, because we haven't really seen a lot from Yumiko yet. So that was a quite nice touch to see a little bit of Yumiko's character and what she stands for. So that was really nice to actually see for once.
It was, yeah. And then we go back to the building again, and Daryl and Carol are setting a trap on the stairs. Gabe is giving that briefing, so we've got that kind of, you know, leadership sort of role. Their plan is to play the music to lead the horde away, which they have done before in other series as well, haven't they? So it's like, right, okay, so that's their plan. But they know that the only way they can do it is to move through the horde. So then we're like, this is our little challenge coming up. And that's getting the equipment to the wagon. So Lydia wants to help, because she obviously feels like she wants to help to make up for everything with her mum. But the Oceansiders certainly don't trust her. And then they cut to the moment where they're rubbing the guts all over themselves, which just makes me, ugh. I don't like, you know, I don't like it when they do that, but I know they have to do it. And it's almost like it took me back to the first season when they very first did that, and it was just
Rick and Glenn did it.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, but now it's like a normal thing. Yeah, let's just rub some guts on us. And it took me back as well to, you know, the episode season 6, I think it was, with Sam. You know, when it's mommy.
Yes. Oh, the cookie guy, the cookie kid. I remember him. It also took me back to Negan and Gabriel in the sanctuary when it got overrun.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of times that they actually done that, and I think the first time was in Atlanta with Rick and Glenn to get away from those tanks and stuff. I think it was.
Yeah, it was absolutely. So then Negan and Daryl have a bit of a face-off. Daryl wants him to do his bit, but Negan's a bit like, oh well, you know, I'm kind of like on their hit list because I've killed Alf, sort of thing. And you're thinking, wow, because Negan, he keeps changing, doesn't he? In every series, it's like he just looks different. And anyway, yeah, there was that cute moment between Daryl and Judith with the hands on the door, wasn't it, with the glass? And I wondered, you know, what did we think Judith might be thinking at that point? It's almost like, are you going to disappear too, like my dad has and like Michonne has? It's almost like, is this a goodbye? It was quite, wasn't it?
Poor little Judith. I feel so bad for her.
She's very cute, isn't she?
She is. She's an amazing actress for that age. Like I take my hat off for that.
Yeah, she is. She's really good. So then we have them moving through the horde. And this is the bit that I was watching probably with my eyes like really open, because I just thought this is the moment, because I was thinking of the Sam moment. I thought someone's going to do something or say something and they're all going to just jump on them. And especially because Kelly is there. And as we know, Kelly is hard of hearing as well, isn't she? She's been having problems with hearing. And she's there and she's got the skin on as well, the kind of Walker Whisperer skin. And we're kind of seeing as she's walking through, and you just get that sense that it must be a horrible thing to do. And, you know, if you or I were in that situation, I guess we'd have to just do it, because that would be how you have to survive, isn't it? But I can't imagine for 1 second doing that. Because
can you imagine the smell?
The smell would be awful. But that, for me, I think I would probably be thinking, oh, they're going to know it's, you know, without even doing anything. I would give off a nervousness, I think.
Yes, I would have done exactly the same.
Yeah. They're moving through, and it's almost like, And they're obviously trying to pick out the skins, as they say. And from the building, they're firing arrows, aren't they? So they're getting the whisperers who are going down, and then the walkers are like jumping on them.
Yeah.
And I found it creepy, because when Carol and Beatrice are walking through, this is after most of them have made it through, and Daryl's like, where's Carol and Beatrice? And you're like, oh crap, there's two of them still in there. Carol's the main one. Is Carol going to get it? Is that going to be the big thing? Beta has already noticed that there's arrows coming from the building, so it's like, right, this is where we're going. But then that whisperer comes through, doesn't she? And who they spot. And that was the creepy thing for me, because it's like, it's a person. It's like, ugh. And obviously Beatrice stabs her. She goes down, but then she grabs Beatrice's foot, stabs her in the back of the leg. And of course she screams because it's painful. Then all the walkers, and I'm like, oh, and Carol keeps walking. And what I found was interesting, because there's a couple of things actually I want to get your opinion on. Because as she was going down and Carol was walking away, you'd think when she said Carol, I thought she might be like, help me, but she was like, take it. So she was kind of saying, take the bag. In other words, she knew she was going to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't like to save herself. It was almost, for the group. But Carol obviously kept on walking anyway to save herself.
Yeah.
But what would you do in that situation? I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it?
First of all, I wouldn't want to be left alone with Carol, because there's a lot of people that die around Carol. So that's one thing.
That's true.
I would have kept walking. I think at that point, when it would be you and me, for instance, walking there, and something would have happened with you, I think at that moment it's everyone on themselves, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'll say sorry later, in a prayer, but I gotta go. I'm out of here.
Yeah, peace out.
Yeah, I'm like, bye. No, I would have kept walking. I would have done what Carol would have done to save myself.
Yeah, it's a difficult moral one, isn't it? But I think, because they're trying to survive throughout all of.
But I do think it depends on who it is, because if, for instance, that would have been Henry, Carol would have not kept running. So it depends on who is with you at that moment. So I think she's probably like, okay, it's just Beatrice. Okay, we were friends, but that's it. I've got to go. But if it was like Ezekiel or Daryl or anyone that she was really, really close with, like Judith or even Henry, I think she would have gone back and would have tried to save him and go down with it. That's what I think.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, it's interesting when you think of that, because ultimately she probably would have gone down with it because of the extent of, Beatrice was already on the floor, wasn't she, at that point? So it's almost like, can't save her from that. Well, you might be able to, but she might be missing a leg or an arm or something, because they just, I mean, when they showed it after and they were just ripping I know it's all special effects, but this is what I don't like about the zombie genre. And some people are like, why do you watch The Walking Dead if you don't like the zombies? And it's not about the zombies for me. It's about the characters and the story. So when there's gory bits, I do have to kind of like, look, what's that?
In the beginning, it was all about the zombies, wasn't it? But then throughout every season, it became more about the characters and their development. So the zombies are not the main source anymore in this show. And that's what I think makes The Walking Dead so brilliant, is because it starts off with all these zombies because you get so many different kinds, and they're getting worse, and they're getting uglier and nastier. And now it's just like, it's actually the people. Like, the people are more the danger than the zombies are. So that's how how it switches. And that's kind of interesting how it switches from, hey, the zombies are the main thing, because in the start they were like looking for families and friends, and then now you get other communities. So then the communities become the bad guys, and the zombies are just a little part. So
they are. Yeah, definitely more threats coming up.
Yes.
Within them, yeah, absolutely, and even within their own group, as they've experienced over some time. So we find that actually Lydia picks up the bag, doesn't she? Because this hand sort of picks up the bag, and I thought initially, oh, was that Negan? But obviously it was Lydia, and she's got the alpha mask on that Negan had actually given to her, and she was cradling before. So because that's almost like the last thing of her mother. But she uses it to the best of the group, and it was interesting because Beatrice was one of the ones that didn't want Lydia to get involved, and actually it was Lydia that did get the bag, so she kind of saved the day almost in terms of the equipment. Beatrice is kind of already gone, but they then go through and they meet up with the rest of the group. So right, that's all good. So then we've got, at that point, it's just over halfway through. So are you feeling like the tension's building at that point? Or is it still a bit sort of, I'm waiting for something?
It was halfway the episode, it was still flatline for me. I was like, something needs to happen now because I'm falling asleep. It's getting, come on, what's happening? Come on, give power, put some energy in it.
Yeah. And it goes back to the horde, and a whisperer says to Beta, the end is almost here. And then the music kind of pops in, and I thought that was a great little interlude, just to, because we have Burning Down the House on repeat, going via this wagon.
I love that song. I saw them live, so I loved it. I was singing on my couch.
Brilliant, yeah, because it came on and I was like, yeah, you could imagine, but then you have to realize, I suppose, why they're doing it, and it's almost like, well, it's not a party, is it? They're doing this to kind of lead.
It's a weird choice of song. Yeah, absolutely.
It was. And then we kind of go, because this is where it's trying to build tension, I felt, where we go back to the building, a grenade is kind of thrown in, but then we're back with the horde again, and we see the whisperers are kind of coming forward now to get this wagon, aren't they, to try and stop them. So our group defend themselves, but ultimately the wagon goes down. The group has to kind of leave it, and they're then saying, right, so Daryl wants to go back and hunt the skins, because he is a hunter, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
At his core. And then they're mentioning about the cliff, because ultimately that's what they wanted to do. But without the wagon, it means if somebody leads them there, they're going to have to sacrifice themselves. And again, Lydia puts herself up. So it's almost like she's been very much like, I want to do this, I want to do this. But then I know later when it actually happens, it's Carol that then kind of appears, and it's almost like she wants to just do it. And I don't know if it's partly because she wants to die, or if she wants to.
That's a good question, because I thought the same thing, because it looked, if you see that moment that they kind of do a close-up on Carol's face, it looked like she was defeated, that she was done with it, and she's like, this is the last thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going down with it. Like, she was determined. And I think she was, actually. I don't think it is even a question. I think she was going to sacrifice herself in order to save the rest. I think that she was like, I've lost so many and I lost so much, and she wasn't in a good state already because with the whole things that happened in the season before when she was kind of a druggie. I think at that point she was done, and this is it for me. You can see it in her eyes, in her facial expression, and I think that was what's going to happen. I really thought at that point, watching it, like, this is the end of Carol.
Yeah, she'd accepted it, hadn't she, almost?
Yes.
And because this was towards the end of the episode, so it's almost like, well, if she did, that would be a death to end that episode. But we know that Lydia actually pulls her back. But just before that point, when she's kind of facing the edge of the cliff, and you see, and it was probably mostly special effects, but it just felt, it had a serene feel to it, because it was like peaceful almost. You couldn't hear the walkers as much as you could. They sort of drowned the sound out a bit, hadn't they? And you see the water, and you see she's standing there. So that's why I think it did feel like she could easily just step off the cliff, not even jump, just step off, and it just felt like that. But yeah, Lydia pulls her back, and it's almost that mother-daughter kind of bond between them almost was showing. And when Lydia, well, they were both looking at Alpha's mask, and then she threw it, and as we saw it, it kind of fell slow motion, didn't it, down the cliff. That was quite poetic, I must admit, how that happened. It was almost like, right, well, Alpha's gone now, she can't do any more damage, because we know what happens to Beta, which obviously I'll come on to. So Gabe is telling everybody to go, and again, that just further solidifies to me that contrast, because it's almost like he's in that point. If he has to go down for the group, he will.
Yeah.
When the Whisperers get him on the floor, I thought he was gone.
Yeah, me too. I was like, whoop, there he goes. There he goes. This is it. Bye, Gabe.
Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah, I really thought he had. But then we see this mysterious character who comes in, who has got a hood on and has got a mask on. And Maggie is with this person. Now, I'm assuming it's a man. I don't know if it is, but I would say it's a hooded man in a mask.
Yeah.
But I don't know who it is. Now, I know on social media there's been a lot of talk of, oh, is it Heath? But I think if it was Heath, he would have showed himself.
I don't think it is, because this to me looked like a very tall guy, and I think Heath wasn't that tall, and Heath was kind of wide, like, and he was like, it wasn't his build. I don't know. I have no suspicions of who it is. I do think it's just some very good fighter from Commonwealth. But that's all. I have no ideas of who's behind that. People said, like, I've read some rumors as well, the people said like maybe the brother of Jesus, but there's never been spoken about a brother of Jesus. But it's like, I don't know, and sounds weird, but there is a split second, and my husband actually said maybe it's Rick.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because I would get my Rick back on the program, but that could be wishful thinking. I'll just have to make do with the Funko Pops that I've got. Yeah, I mean, if it was him and he comes back and he's wielding all these weapons around like really acrobatic, I'll be like, wow, you've been to weapon camp all this time.
Well, it's been quite a while, and we all know the Commonwealth is pretty big, right? That's why Maggie went there. So yeah, you don't know. Like, Rick was a good fighter at the end, like he was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm leaving that in the open.
Yeah.
It's an interesting character, I must say.
It is, and I wonder if we're going to kind of know in the next, well, either the next additional episodes or the next season, which is going to be the final season.
There's a reason what they put them in there, because even with all the teasers that they did throughout the time that we were waiting on this episode, they showed pictures of this particular character, and it was in the clips and stuff. So there must be something with this dude. Maybe it's Maggie's new lover. We don't know.
We
I mean,
don't
she's
know.
been there quite a while. She might have built her whole life up. I mean, she still has a little Herschel. So, maybe this is a new love life of Maggie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Where's little Herschel? Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't leave my kid alone.
That's it, especially in an apocalypse situation. But I'm sure all will be revealed then when we come to the next season. But when we go back to the Horde, so Lydia is going through, this is before the cliff bit, so it's kind of backtracking a bit. So Lydia's got the alpha mask on and she's trying to lead them away because she's going to lead them to the cliff before Carol intervenes. And a whisperer says to Beta, Alpha. So then he spots it's her, gets his knife out, and then we hear, hey, shithead, don't we? So it's like, it's Negan.
There's only be one.
So, and he's wearing a skin as well. Beta gets him on the floor, wanting to obviously kill him because of Alpha.
I screamed. I thought, no, not my Negan. No, don't do it. Don't.
Yeah. And it was very, well, the timing, because he could have easily done it, couldn't he? But Daryl appears to save the day. And Daryl doesn't only just stick one knife in him, he sticks two knives in him through each eye. I was like,
yeah, he definitely didn't see that coming.
He didn't. But what was really gross is when Beta pulled them out. And he not even, he was grimacing a bit, but he wasn't in pain, was he? It was almost like
yeah, it was like he was laughing. See, that's the point I'm still confused about as well. It's like, because, there's blood coming out. So what happens is all these walkers come towards him and start ripping him apart. And then Negan seems to recognize him from his past life. And Daryl didn't care, obviously. He's like, well, he's nobody now. And as soon as these walkers started tearing the flesh off of Beta, he was smiling. Like, he was like happy that it happened. I was like, oh, you're more creepy than I thought you were. Like, how can, no. He's like wrapped it out like that, and he was smiling, and then No, that man must have been really messed up in the head, honestly.
He did go down with a smile, didn't he? And he didn't
Yeah,
scream at all. There was like no pain, like an enjoyment to it. But
yeah,
also when kind of flashing, when he pulled the knives out and it flashed to those memories of him in Alpha, um, I heard, "Fear nothing, we are free."
yes.
So almost like she was kind of telling him, because he was obsessed with her, wasn't he,
Yeah.
really?
I think he was in love with her.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So I was going to ask you what you thought and felt at that point, but you've kind of said, really, because it was that weird moment that he was enjoying,
Yeah.
being just absolutely
Yeah, with the
attached.
flashbacks, what you said, I think that he thought to himself at that point, like, because she said we are free, indicates to me that they have like this place they're going, like some sort of a messed up heaven kind of thing, and that he thought we're back together in death.
Yes,
Is That's why I think he was kind of creepy way peaceful with him dying.
yeah, I would say that's a good explanation, because he really did miss her, and I think it was the last episode, episode 15, previous to this one, that one of the whisperers had called him Alpha by mistake, or follow the Alpha or something, and he got really angry, was going to like kill her, didn't, but ultimately Daryl got her in the end, didn't he? But
Yeah,
it was almost like, it's an offense to call me Alpha, she's gone, but
yeah,
that kind of hole that it left for him, and the hatred of Negan because he killed her. But I will say, it was that build up. I mean, obviously that was clever because he was trying to get in there in order to do that. But what was that moment in the woods with the socks? I mean, for me,
yeah. That was so weird.
I mean, because Rick is my favorite character. But when Negan came on the scene, even though he's a badass, I did quite like the bad boy. And I thought, yeah, you're sexy, because he is a sexy actor in real life.
Yeah,
It's like,
he is.
I like you, I like you. I like Rick, but you're like the naughty boy I want to look at. And then he changed, didn't he? And very kind of comedic with some of the things that he would say. But then as we went through, it was like, oh, there's more depth to him, clearly. But that
Yeah.
moment with Amber, I was just like, you're like, you're getting intimate with her. You're both naked in the woods. I think
Yeah,
I've
that's so
gone
weird.
up. I think maybe I'm a little turned off now.
I must say I laughed really hard when I saw that, and at the same time I was really disgusted because I don't know if you remember, but he had to go to the bathroom before that, and they all poop in this big hole, and she kicked him in there first, and then after there was that scene, and I'm like, okay,
I
so
know, I know.
I hope he showered.
But having the socks on, and I thought, why have the socks on? And then somebody I talked to, it was like, oh yeah, but they're in the woodland, and they don't want to get twigs on their feet. It was like, well, yeah, but that's how they
Well,
live.
I can't imagine they stood up the whole time, to be fair.
So I just thought that was funny. Maybe that was our viewing pleasure, but
It was a very good tactic, Negan must say, but
yeah,
I think he also belonged to something like that since, well, he obviously had wives in the past, but they weren't really willingly to him, and she kind of was
yeah,
Alpha, and Alpha basically wanted it too. So I think he was more messed up in his way, like, hey, what's happening? Because he thought he was gonna die at that point. So I don't know. I think he took it like a champ.
he did. And didn't she have her mask on as well at the same time? Or so?
Yeah, and he called her even more sexier with that on. And no.
No, I mean, obviously we've kind of gone back to that movie, but
I wonder
yeah,
what he would say when he saw that whole thing back himself, and what his wife would say.
it was an experience I just had to survive in that moment. I took one for the team.
Yes.
But yeah, So we know that they're being reunited in the woods, and Maggie is there. Now Maggie doesn't say a word in this episode.
No, which I found really weird.
Yeah, I did as well. So she sees Grace, obviously Aaron's daughter or adopted daughter, and then Judith, obviously. Lydia has a moment with Negan when they're kind of reunited, and then Carol and Daryl have their interaction. Now there's obviously a nice bond between the two of them, but it was fractured a little bit, wasn't it? And it was what made me a bit emotional was when Daryl said, "You still got me." And it's kind of, so he'd forgiven things from the past. But there's still a sense that Carol isn't quite at the place where she was.
No, I think she never will be, honestly. Like, that woman lost everything she loved, her own daughter, everything. And, every time a child came around her, it went wrong. And then, well, Ezekiel was highly in love with her, and they fit together. I thought they were amazing together. Carol and Ezekiel were a good team. And then Daryl kind of being jealous about that, I never understood, because everybody always rooted for Carol and Daryl to be a couple.
Yes.
Which I don't see happening, because in my eyes, Carol is way much older than Daryl. So I always thought that was weird. But I think Carol is so damaged that she just wants to be alone and not want to be close with anyone at this point, because every time she gets close to someone, they die. So I think she starts to realize that, and she just after Henry, she can't take no more. And I think she made a plan for herself. It's like, if I die now, then I die. Like, she always fought so badass, like with Terminus, everything. And she was like this power woman. She was like, everybody loved her. She was like so brutal. And right now she's so broken and damaged that you feel so bad for her.
Yeah, and it's almost like, because right at the beginning she was broken and damaged for a different reason, wasn't she?
Yes.
And so it's quite sad, really, to watch her in that state when she was very much, doing things fiercely when she got her kind of like her girl power going. Now this next bit really kind of got me. Don't know what you think of it, but when they cut to this scene of the hand on the ground and the hand's moving, and it's like exactly how it would move if it was a human who's turned into a walker, because it's that kind of waking up, isn't it? And now I've turned. And we realize it's Connie. So Connie is obviously been missing because of the cave, and she's covered in dirt, so she looked a bit like a walker. And it was clever how she stood up really slowly. It's almost like when she opened her eyes, it was the last thing. So it's almost like, is she a walker? Is she a walker? Is she a walker? And then she opens her eyes. No, she's fine, but she's disorientated. So she's stumbling around. Then she falls again. And then we see this horse coming up in the background. And she looks, and it's Virgil, who was actually, and I forgot to say, because he was there at the beginning very briefly, because he turned up to Oceanside, hadn't he?
Yeah, and he was the dude that captured Michonne. And I'm like, what are you doing here, bro? I don't trust you.
Exactly.
Like, are you gonna lock someone else up and give them weird shit and make them trip again?
Exactly. So in our mind as the viewer, potentially, I mean, I know I was thinking, yes, certainly, what's he there for when he turned up? And now he's stumbled across Connie. What's he going to do to her? And of course, she's deaf. She can't hear him. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic and another question to carry forward, isn't it? But as she was standing up, I was watching it going, no, because I just thought she was going to be, she's a zombie. But actually, no. Considering all that she's probably been through, she's lucky, probably, isn't she, to not be one?
I was confused and surprised at the same time because, well, obviously we do not really know the timeline. So how long has she been in that cave for? Because if she's been in there for months, how did she survive that? No food, no water, no nothing.
True.
So how long has she actually been down there? That's the question. And the reason why I got confused is because I always watch The Talking Dead, and they did an obituary for her, which in my eyes, every time they do that, a character has died.
Yeah.
So now she's back, and I'm like, but hey, wait, hold up. They did an obituary for her at Talking Dead, so why is she alive? Like,
Well,
I
that
don't
is
know.
interesting. Yeah, that is interesting if they did
Like,
that.
did they change that around due to, sounds maybe stupid, but did they change plans due to COVID to make them more, because of this 4 additional episodes are coming up? Is that the reason why they brought her back? Or was she supposedly actually dead? But did they bring her back for this 4 other episodes? Because obviously she needs to be reunited with Kelly.
Yeah.
And she had a little fling going on with Daryl.
Yeah, there was that.
Is this why she is back? Is she back for Daryl? Or is she back for Kelly? Maybe both. What is happening here?
Exactly. Very odd. Yeah.
Because only because of that obituary that they did, I'm confused of why she's back.
Yeah, I didn't realize they'd done that. So that is interesting how they might have changed things then. I mean, this guy, I mean, I don't trust him at all because
Oh,
of
no,
what's,
no, no. Mm-mm.
and you almost think he could come across to her as a savior because it's like, oh, well, I might put you on the back of the horse and I'm going to take
Well,
you.
that's what he did with Michonne, didn't he?
Yeah. So it's almost like you can almost feel that that might happen. Um,
Yeah, I
so
don't trust him. I wish Michonne actually killed him.
yeah, I know
I would have done that if after someone would have done that to me. I wouldn't let them
yeah,
alive. And I actually thought those other people killed him that were in that building with him, because Michonne said, I leave you to your people. So I
yes,
actually thought that
they
they
would,
had killed him.
yeah, but no, he's back.
I was surprised seeing him as well in the start as well, because, well, he's obviously not dead, and now he's got Connie. Connie, beware. He is not to be trusted.
Yeah, Connie beware, and there must be some way that our group are going to find her or something's going to happen, because otherwise how's it going to be resolved? But it could drag out for quite a while, couldn't it? We don't know. So then we actually come to like the final scene, really, which is we see Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, Princess. They've got to this, I think it was like an old rail track, how it looked.
Yeah, where it was old trains and train containers, it looked like.
Yeah, yeah. So he calls out, doesn't he, to sort of let whoever know that he's there, and nobody comes. It's again, you really feel for Eugene, don't you? And he says, I wrote the quote down, she's not here anymore, if she ever was. So it's almost like, was it just a figment of my imagination? Was she playing me? Was it this? Was it that? But no sooner as he said that, he's almost like, with that grit and determination, we're not turning back. We're kind of keeping going. She must be out here somewhere. So he's still got that kind of, probably from Ezekiel giving him that pep talk earlier.
Yeah.
That we're going to do it. So as they're all kind of, oh, it's happy, we're all going to do this, and the lights go on, and it's like, what the hell is happening now?
Yeah.
The guys all storming, they're like Starship Troopers, and they've all got like
Oh,
white.
yeah, right? I was yelling, what the hell are stormtroopers doing in The Walking Dead? Like, me and my husband were really like, okay, so stormtroopers are coming down. Star Wars has merged with The Walking Dead. Darth Vader's gonna pop up. That's literally what we said. Who are they? I think Commonwealth, honestly, but I don't think they're good guys.
No, I got the sense it was almost like, obviously they're there, they're on the attack straight away, aren't they? Because they're like hands up and they're kind of surrounded. So it's like a mini army almost of these guys. Yeah. They've all got their armor on. They all mean business. And it's like, what the actual is going on here? And of course, you know, Eugene's terrified, as he would be, but I would be as well.
Pants on.
You know, he's looking for this potential love, and now he's in this situation. But But then you think, you know, are they going to hold them captive? Are they going to take them somewhere else? A bit like, you know, obviously Rick went off in the helicopter. I know that was a different scenario, but you don't, almost because of everything that's been going on, we don't really know where these troopers are kind of from, what intentions are, or if they are, if they're just kind of defending their territory in a way.
Well, in a way, but what do stormtroopers do in the middle of nowhere? Like, they must have come from somewhere. I think they got set up by this Stephanie. I think she wasn't exactly who she said she was. And I think, like, the idea that pops up with me when seeing these outfits that they're wearing is CDC.
Yeah.
Because they were all, yeah, they were doctors, but there was also white, and I think these either are from Commonwealth, or are these the people that are where Rick is, or is Rick at Commonwealth? But then Maggie would have known, I guess, and she doesn't. So who are you? Where are you coming from? Why do you look like Stormtrooper? And what do you want?
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, that's definitely an option that Stephanie could have, whether she wanted to or whether she was pressured to set them up is a different thing. But
well, she was too much of a, hey, yeah, let's meet up by
yeah.
a radio conversation. Like, if I would be in an apocalypse and I would suddenly have a conversation with someone, I wouldn't go, hey, let's go on out at a date, like have a little picnic. You know, I already thought she was weird. And in the beginning, like you said, like when Eugene, was he imagining it? I was thinking that for a split second, because I was thinking back at Rick in the jail cell when he had phone calls with Lori and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of got that feeling of it, but no, I think Stephanie set them up, and I think Stephanie knew for sure that Eugene wasn't going to come alone, because who is going to walk alone in an apocalypse?
Yeah, that's it.
So I think she just went like, hey, look, I found people. We don't know if we can trust them. I'm pretty sure they're coming with more people. I don't know how many. So let's pack up a group, dress like stormtroopers, and go there.
Yes. And Eugene is a very trusting individual, isn't he?
Yeah. He's too trustworthy. Like, he trusts people way too fast.
Yeah, so it could have been because she actually came across that she was being a bit sort of, oh, I don't know if I can trust you, which would then make him reveal more. So it could.
She played on his feelings, is what I think. She played on his insecurities, because when Eugene is insecure about something, he kind of stutters, and he's trying to use more expensive words than he normally already uses to sound like smart. I don't know if that's tactic or not, but you can tell when Eugene is nervous because of the way he starts to talk, the way he starts to act, and I think she manipulated him into going there.
Yeah.
Because Eugene told them everything, how many people they had, where they were at, and like, he told her everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It does seem to kind of be building a case for that, doesn't it? And it's almost like Stephanie's not revealed herself. So is she actually behind it or part of it? You know, when we think back to the experiences that they've been through throughout The Walking Dead, it's almost like they have actually had other groups trying to infiltrate their group, haven't they? Or trying to add on, or trying to. And Rick was always very kind of, can we trust him? And didn't they have 3 questions that they always asked?
Yeah.
Is it how many killed?
Who are you? How many walkers did you kill? Why did you kill him? Was that it?
Something like that.
And how many people did you kill?
Yes.
I think those were the 3 questions. How many walkers have you killed? What was the reason why you killed them? And how many people did you kill?
Yeah, because I suppose that shows them, doesn't it? If you've had a lot of people around you can't trust human wise, and they've killed them, and there's certainly been a lot of that going on throughout the whole. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But almost bringing that to a close in terms of the episode. I mean, I know that they're from what I picked out with themes of outsiders, because Maggie almost, even though she wasn't an outsider, she was part of the kind of original clan, wasn't she? Or not the original, but she has been
Yeah.
there a long time.
She's been there
But
since I think season 2 was when they found the farm. Season 2, season 3.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, season 2, I think it was. Yeah, and now she's come back. It's almost like she's a bit of an outsider coming back in.
Yeah,
Because
I don't understand why they brought her back. Like, in my honest opinion, I don't like Maggie. I never have. She was okay when Glenn was alive, but after Glenn died, she changed in a disliking manner for me, and she became, I don't know, the whole thing with Gregory and stuff. Like, I don't like the way how she changed, and I do understand. I mean, love of your life got killed. You're pregnant, I get it, but why bring Maggie back? I mean, she missed the whole Whisperer War. She had no clue what was going on, and if you look at how many people we have lost since Rick's departure from the show is when she left,
right,
then I don't see how she's fitting in, because the only reason why I could fit in is a reason that I don't want to know, because the only reason I think she's back is because of, I'm not even, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but I think she's back because of Negan, that she has unfinished business. And
yeah,
I think she might be Negan's ending, and that's the reason why they brought her back. And if that is true, then I hate her even more than I already did. Yeah, I don't see why they brought her back. Like, where is she gonna fit in? Because everybody became closer. There's new characters, a lot of people that we lost. She had us build up a whole new life with her son in a different community. Where does she fit in now? Nobody knows basically who she is. Like, Lydia doesn't know, Yumiko doesn't know, Magna doesn't know, Kelly doesn't know, Connie, and all these other people. Like, where does she fit in?
that's right. And also, I got the sense, I know she was going off to do good, and I know she obviously went through a lot, and that's why she probably wanted to do that. But she almost she left her family behind to do that. So yes, why is she back? So she does feel like an outsider coming back in at the moment.
Yeah.
The other outsiders I kind of thought was Lydia was obviously clearly, because she was trying to, put herself forward to get back into the group. She felt like, I suppose she's always got that association with Alpha, hasn't she?
Well, see, this is where I doubt, because Lydia already was a part of the community, because she left the Whisperers. Of course, she's been in jail for quite a while, and then this whole thing and this bond she built up with Negan, and she did a lot of things for the community, and I think people kind of see her as a part of the community now, especially after she is basically the savior of all of this episode. But I think people would accept her sooner than they would with Maggie, also just because Lydia is still a child, and the choices her mom made were basically forced onto Lydia, because Lydia always had a different opinion. This is why her mom never loved her, because Lydia always had a heart, which Alpha didn't. And Lydia always saw things from a different perspective than her mother did, and her mother was against that. And at one point, her mother wanted to kill her own daughter. And so I think people would be more happy with keeping Lydia in the community than with keeping Maggie. Because most of them don't know her.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I know we've talked about Carol, because I put her down as a kind of outsider, only that she feels like she's a bit of an outsider in herself. But we've kind of covered that. And Negan is still almost trying to prove himself. But I think he did by, he was willing to kind of stand up to Beta, wasn't he? And then Daryl had his back almost. So that feels like that's kind of being involved.
I think Negan got redemption after killing Alpha.
Yes, yeah, for
Yes.
sure. And he is a bit like a father figure to Lydia in a way,
Yes.
almost. That's growing, isn't it? I can
It's
see.
interesting. It's really interesting to see that because um Negan has always been good with the kids.
Yeah,
And even like he always said like oh, what was that? That one quote he always said like, protect what you have because one day it will belong to someone else.
interesting. Yeah.
And he was one that witnessed that in his own person, didn't he? So
Yeah.
that's interesting to see. And also the bond between Negan and Judith. And Negan already liked Judith when she was still like a baby, wasn't she? People, I've seen memes coming around like Negan was a better mom than Laurie was. So he's.
Oh, I just say my battery. It was black screen then, just because my battery is probably going. I've probably got 20%. Like a
So
little.
no,
A little
it's interesting to see what's going to come from that. But if there would be a father figure for Lydia, it would be definitely Negan.
Negan, yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've also got so Princess is still really an outsider to the
Yeah.
main group, even though she's been, and we still don't really know what her
No.
game is. And Virgil, we still don't know what his game is.
No.
And it was also very much on kind of family bonds and sacrifice that was coming through as well, of the different players that wanted to put themselves forward.
Yeah.
But as we're coming to the end and before my battery does give up the ghost, would you say it was an episode worth the wait?
Worth the wait. I must say, Walking Dead is always worth the wait. But was this a respectable final to me? I must say no. I expected so much more, and Beta's death could have been so much more than what it happened to be. I know it's the same way that they did it in our comics, but they could have built more around it. I expected more of it, and I've been left with so many questions, and now we have a very long way ahead again, and I don't like that. Like we have to wait till what, February now? February, April for this. I think this additional 4 episodes. I need to look that up, and I will fill you in on that as soon as I have more information on that. Well, I am as this is the last season coming up, season 11. I'm interested. What's going to happen? I think this is going to be the most emotional season we will ever experience in The Walking Dead, because I think, honestly, that a lot of people are going to see their favorites departure in a way that they didn't wish they did. And I'm scared, I must admit. But I'm also excited. What's going to happen? Who's the bad guy? And who will be the last man standing?
Exactly. I know it is that kind of intrigue to what's going to happen. As you say, a bit of that nervousness of kind of, oh, I wonder what's going to happen, because we kind of know that somebody is going to die, more than one person is probably going to die, or well, how it's going to happen, I don't know. But
I think it's going to be a hard season as well, because we all know it's the end. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And we all, like the Walking Dead community, the Walking Dead family worldwide is one. It's the fans, the actors, it's all one big family. It's people met other people through this show and became best friends. People, The Walking Dead was a life changer. And to see this come to an end is going to be a hot, bitter pill to swallow for a lot of us. Because what do we have after that? Of course, we're going to have this spin-off of Daryl and Carol, but it's not going to be the same. So this is not only going to be an exciting new season, it's going to be emotional, and it's going to be heartbreaking, because it has been a ride. It's been a roller coaster for 10 years.
Yes.
And to even think, like, I got emotional when I heard that it was the end. And like I said, like, my life changed so drastically because of The Walking Dead. And yeah, if it wasn't for The Walking Dead, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met so many people. So it's so weird. Like,
It
it's
is.
the end of an era
Yeah.
that was so good to so many people. Like, all the people you met, the actors, the emotions throughout the show, the anger in the show, the sadness in the show. And sadly, we lost the actor who played Herschel in real life, which was to so many people so sad and so emotional, because you got to meet him. These people went out there for you to meet them. And no,
They did. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been amazing.
Yeah, it has. And I think that's absolutely right. It is a family. And certainly at the conventions, everybody comes together. You've all got that common love of something. And, you know, some people cosplay, some people don't. And I tried out a bit of cosplay as Tara.
I do too.
And you cosplay.
I cosplay Negan, actually, with beard. And
Really?
yes, I actually do. It looks, you know what? If I show the pictures, nobody actually realizes it's me. It's that good. And I'm building up my Simon cosplay, inclusive mustache. So yeah.
But it's fun, isn't it? Because you kind of you get lost into that, but it also kind of further enhances that creative expression, because we're taking on that character, because we've got that appreciation of that character and the show and everything. And you're absolutely right, because, you know, having crewed at the conventions and meeting some of the stars, they are all down to earth. They go over and above for the fans, and it's great. And, you know, I didn't have a bad experience meeting people. And as you said, we met each other. So we were on, you know, it was Team Og. I was Team Stephen Og, and that's how we met. And, you know, I've been lucky enough to work with Kari, who plays Ezekiel. Amazing.
He was amazing.
Yeah. So
I met him too.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. They're all lovely, and they're all very good actors, brilliant actors. So yeah, we followed these characters throughout the, you know, the whole Walking Dead. It is coming to an end, so it is bittersweet, exactly as you say. We can be grateful for everything we've, you know, that's brought us to this point, but what's going to happen after, how they're going to end it. And it makes me wonder if they're going to leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Should we do some predictions? I'd like that. And then after the last episode of season 11, we come back together and see if our predictions became true.
Well, we could, couldn't we? Yeah. I mean, let me think, because I don't know if they're going to find out where Rick is. Part of me was thinking that's going to be revealed somehow. And although he's not part of it, he's going to be in the spin-off movie, isn't he?
Yeah. I've heard rumors he's been seen on sets, that they bring him back for the very last episode of season 11. That's what I've heard. I do not know if this is true, but I've heard, or I read it somewhere. So that's interesting. But if you, from the group of survivors we have right now, have to choose two characters that will last till the end, who will it be?
Well, I would say, I mean, it's probably a giveaway, because we know there's a spin-off coming.
No, that has nothing to do with them. I already heard that, because that's what I thought. But I've already heard that they have nothing to do with the end of season 11.
Okay, so who we've got now? I mean, I would say, I don't know why Judith popped into my mind, but Judith kind of popped into my mind, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if she would actually get killed off, and that would be a shocker.
Oh, that would be. Everybody would go insane.
They would, wouldn't they? So that kind of, it makes me wonder. Maybe that's one of my predictions then, because it just kind of made me think, because it would be such a shock. But she is such a, you know, she's such a good character, and it would almost have to be in a massive group death, I think. But I wonder if any of the others, you know, like we've got, see, Eugene, he might make it to the end.
I was thinking him as well, because
Yeah.
he's been so careful and knows how to hide.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
he's from great use because he knows how to work with almost everything. He knows how to make bullets. He knows how to work electric. So he would be great asset for any other group who would find him eventually. So my predictions of 2 characters who would stay alive until the end. Sadly, and with a really great heart, I have to say it's not Negan. I don't think it is Negan. I think it is Eugene.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I think Michonne.
You think she's going to pop back?
For last episode? Yes, because Black Panther is standing still with the tragic death of
course,
our beloved Black Panther. But I think Eugene and Michonne, I think they will kind of bring everybody back at this last episode because it is the last episode.
Yes, and they could very well do that. And certainly if Rick was there, if he was, it would be that nice transition into, oh, well, now I want to go and watch the film.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking, like Rick back in the last episode. And then we get the films, which would be 3 of them.
Yeah.
And Rick's been gone quite a while, because if you see the time when how everybody aged and stuff, I think the movies will be what happened to Rick in the meanwhile.
In that time.
Yes, that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if, you know, we've got, is it Magna, if I say her name right?
Yeah, Magna.
Luke, Yumiko, Kelly and Connie, who were that other group that then joined the main group.
Yeah.
Whether any of them, I mean, Magna's
I don't think so.
But they're not really big enough, are they?
No, they've been pretty left out this season.
Yeah. Yeah,
so we don't really know them. Like Luke didn't have not much of a screen time, so we don't really know his character. Yeah, he was a music teacher, but that's all I know about him. What do we know about Magna? Not much. Basically, that she's always bossy and always kind of in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Yumiko, we kind of see more from her than anyone else of that group. Kelly has been put to the back since Connie isn't there anymore. We'll see who else. Well, this princess is interesting. I'm pretty sure Ezekiel will not make it because he's ill.
Yeah.
Gabriel, don't see him making it.
No, I don't really see Rosita either, because she's not been in it as much.
No, and she also changed a lot after Tara died, because they were always together. And well, but Rosita has a baby, so she could make it, because otherwise it's another child being an orphan in The Walking Dead.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Aaron, I mean, he's quite.
I think he will not make it. Alden not. I don't know why, but I just have a bad feeling about it. Negan is not gonna make it. Sadly, I hope he does, because he's the only reason why I'm still watching. Honestly, even after what happened, but he is still now the only reason why I watch. It's interesting.
It will be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, well, there's certainly. I mean, one of my final questions, I did put, because you just mentioned Negan, and it says, what are your thoughts on Negan and his journey, but also like leading up to that episode? But I had to mention Simon. Now, obviously, Simon is not in The Walking Dead at the moment because he got off, which I don't like to bring up because it opens the wound.
Oh, you just put salt in there.
But if he'd survived and he'd made it to this point with the rest of the characters, and say he was with Negan, so it was the 2 of them that had joined the group,
right?
And scenario, or even if Simon was in Negan's shoes and he had to kind of bed Alpha for the good of the group. But Do you think Simon would have approached it a bit differently with Beta, for example? Because Negan faced up to him and he was going to try and take him out. Beta had him on the floor. Do you think Beta would have got Simon on the floor?
Hell no. No way.
No.
It's interesting. Simon in the Whisperer story, how would have that went? They wouldn't have no chance. Why? Because Simon was all about his own people. We have to take care of our people. We have to do something now. We have to expunge them. We have to do something. They would have been down. They wouldn't even have lasted 1.5 seasons. Whisperers wouldn't have. With Simon and his men and his way of thinking and how he stood behind things, in my opinion, he would have dealt with the Whisperers way quicker than they now actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and
agree.
He definitely would have not slept with Alpha.
Yeah, it's a weird. That would have been a weird connection if that had happened.
I actually know Stephen had this question a couple of times during a panel.
Really?
Yes, he has, and he had no answer because he doesn't watch it. I think he said that, but I think that would have been a quite interesting story to see either him and Negan in the Whisperer story. I think things would have gone a lot different back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if say he was, because obviously we're following it from the point of view of the survivors, aren't we, as we call them? But obviously all the other groups are surviving in their own way, but to our like the wrong way. But if Simon had joined the Whisperers for whatever reason, do you think he would have made a good Whisperer? So if that's actually his tribe, do you think he would have, you know?
I think he would have pulled it off, actually. I think he would have. But then again, it's doubtful. I think he would have pulled it off, and at the same time, I'm thinking he was too much of a, hey, look at me, y'all. This is me. This is what we're gonna do. He was too much of a, he likes to show off.
Yes.
Simon liked to show off. That's what he did with the whole battle and the fight with Negan. It's like, yo, guys, we're gonna do this, and after that, we're going back to work. Like he likes to show off. So I don't know. That's interesting. I think he. I don't know. I would like to see him with Whisperer's mask on because everybody's like, oh, Negan looks so good with that on. So I kind of do want to see Simon with one on now, but to see what he would. But I don't think he actually would have put one on because he was. I don't see his character like that. Like I saw Simon more of a caretaker of his people. Like our people need to survive. We don't care about others. This is us, our community. Do not open these gates. You're saving too many people. That's what he said to Negan throughout the seasons as well. Like, if we don't do anything right now, they will get to us first, and we need to stop that. And I think he was right, and I will always say that. I will always defend him. And it would have been interesting to see, and sadly we couldn't see that. And,
see that. Oh, and I think just visualizing him as a Whisperer, I know what you're saying. He would have kind of done it if he had to, because he was all about protecting his people.
Yes.
But ultimately, yes, he was that kind of flamboyant character as well. So being hidden under the skin of, doesn't really sit with what he's all about.
Doesn't justify his character.
No. So that was just an interesting. I just thought I've got to get some Simon now just to see what you thought had he have made it to this point, in The Walking Dead. And I think next time we get together on this podcast, maybe we should focus on the episode. The
worst episode in 10 years. I cried for 3 days.
But sadly, when Simon met his demise, and that was, what season was that? That was season.
That was season 8, episode 15.
Right. Yeah, etched in the mind there.
That's the one I skip on my Blu-ray disc.
Yeah.
I actually tried to rewatch it. I rewatched it once with my friend in the UK, and I just cried like a baby again. So I'm definitely not watching it a third
Oh,
time. I'm skipping it.
so what we'll do then for the next one is we'll cover that episode.
Yeah.
And so make sure you got your tissues at the ready as you go through. But obviously, you've got a lot to say on that episode.
I do.
Certainly from his character point of view.
Yeah.
And we can kind of, we know obviously what's happened since then. So we're looking back almost, but we could maybe see how things might have played out differently.
Yes.
But that would be really good. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of discussion that we've had.
Well, I loved it. I really am really honored that you asked me to join you in this. I always wanted to do something like this. So
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for asking me, and I'm definitely coming back again. I like this.
Yeah, no, that would be really great. And obviously we've got a slight time zone difference, but only an hour, so it's not a huge problem, is it? Even though it's much darker now, earlier in the evenings, as we've set the clocks back. But there we go.
Well, sets the mood for The Walking Dead, doesn't it?
It does, actually. And obviously we've got Halloween coming up, so it is very timely, sort of when it goes out. But yeah, I just thank you for taking part. And I just thought, knowing that we both have that common love of The Walking Dead, we can both come from it as a kind of creative perspective almost. We've got that within us, that we can kind of see how the story is trying to be told, and how it actually comes out via the screen as a viewer. So it's almost, we've got that insight. So that's really good, and I really appreciate it. And I will just take my little Rick.
I'll take my Simon hoodie.
And we will, we'll get together for the next one. So just to say to anybody that's watching, obviously when this is posted on YouTube, that we've enjoyed getting together and having a chat with this episode. And actually, if there's any other episodes that you'd like us to talk about, maybe add it in the comments or something. That would be good. But the next one, we're certainly going to talk about season 8, episode 15. That was it, wasn't it?
Yes. Give it a thumbs up, people. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next episode.
Absolutely. That
podcast.
Really spread the word. And, if you've got things to say, we love to hear about it, because it's just fueling that conversation even more, isn't it? So we love it. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I will stop the recording now, and then we'll probably have a bit of a mini debrief. But so bye to everybody who's watching the podcast, and thanks.
Bye. Thanks for watching.